Peace and Black Power. Welcome to another edition of BABATV, House of Consciousness. Every time fire. It's my absolute pleasure anytime I'm in the presence of melanated people, God's chosen people on the planet Earth. These natural people with the insight, foresight. This is who I have to come to. I don't have it in me. You know, the white man, he claims he's unique. He'd rather claim he's unique rather than to admit that he's odd. And in order for him to keep his damn uniqueness, he have to undermine everybody else of color and with color. With that being said, Brother Blue Pill, go in about, because it's got me baffled now, the issue with Donald Trump and all this stuff that the FBI is supposed, and the other Zionists, the watchdogs, so to speak, have come down on their brother Donald Trump, and even the lawyer. You know, they telling Donald Trump, you know, you can't keep on firing people in the Congress. We're going to put a hold on that, and we putting a hold and seizing the files of your lawyer. What are they trying to get to?
I mean, with someone such as Trump, who is so versed in corporate criminality, they know that the buffer zone between the criminal and the crime is often the counsel, the representation. So just like they showed you in Carlito's Way, you know what I'm saying? You have a dirty lawyer that always does your dirt for you. You know what I mean? He's your bag man. He's responsible for making certain things disappear. You know what I'm saying? He knows where the bodies is buried. So that's the situation with this, that he got so sloppy, and you know, there arguably was some sort of crime committed, you know, whether that be what is it, wire fraud they're saying, or inappropriation of campaign finances to pay off or to silence what was it, a porno star, you know. In the midst of, let's put it into context of all of the other accusations that were happening against Donald Trump at the same time. You know what I'm saying? There was all kind of lawsuits that he was going through. So they just so happened to harp on this situation with a porn star who wanted to bring her story forth, and they paid her hush money, and then they put him in a conundrum. Because he said, well, I don't know. I didn't know nothing about that. You know what I'm saying? My lawyer took care of that for me. But then that means that whatever contract that they made is not binding, because if you don't have a consensual agreement, how is this lawyer being enforced to act on your behalf if he's not moving on your orders? But then they flipped it and said, okay, if he does say that I had foreknowledge of this, then he was colluding to keep this lady quiet, and he had misappropriated, or he allowed for the misappropriation of campaign finances to pay off what could potentially be another one of his accusers. They're talking about his sexual proclivities, which is what they've been speaking about for a while, right? They said Russia had a dossier on him talking about his kinky sex. You know what I'm saying? He likes golden showers, and, you know, probably he's into dominatrix and stuff like that. You know, he was caught on the hot mic talking about grabbing him by the pussy. So in the midst of the Me Too campaign, in the midst of all of these things going on, where women are being recognized as being disproportionate victims of sexual abuse for time immemorial, what have you, the person is represented as the leader of the free world, right? Quote unquote, the most powerful person on the planet, right, on record, so to speak, is a fucking, like, habitual sexual abuser, you know what I'm saying? Or he represents what's known as toxic masculinity. You feel me? He is the impersonation and the embodiment of white male Western ideologies, philosophies, and mores, and this is how they behave, as if they have no, you know, they don't have nobody to answer to on the planet. You know what I'm saying? He's behaving as if he's behaving with impunity. But the person that's responsible for giving him that barrier of impunity is his counsel. So you know that you got to be dirty if your lawyer going to need a lawyer, and that lawyer going to need a lawyer, and that's who they going to get. So goddamn. I mean, how many crimes, how many accusations of crimes are we up to dealing with this administration? You know, it always used to be the conspiracy theorists talking about how much crime and dirt these presidents and their families were responsible for. Now it's his constituents, it's his peers, you know, it's people that are part of his government that are ones that are recognizing the crimes that this man has committed and witch hunting him. You know, we're talking about no less than a dozen crimes. You know what I'm saying? Before or after he sat in that seat. So it comes as no surprise to me. You understand? That office is for criminal, or that's a criminal organization. You got to be a godfather to sit in that seat. You got to be heartless. You have to, at the impulse of a second, be willing to press a button that's going to kill 10,000 women and children. If you don't have that in you, you cannot be president of this country. Facts. You know what I'm saying? If you're not on that vibration, then you can't be president of this country. So we're not talking about people with a level of moral standards or moral standings that is, you know, the this, what would I say, is the no president in the history of this country has ever been the shining example of moral standards that the rest of the world envies. You dig what I'm saying? That's not what this country produces by way of presidents. The presidents are CEOs of corporations, and this corporation is part of a capitalistic machine that grinds people underneath their feet for resources. That's what they do. And that's what the president is responsible for. Okay? And I always say part of domestic policy for presidents is nigger containment domestically, right? And nigger repression globally, whether that be for the quote-unquote black or brown people of the planet.
As it relates to Syria, now if I'm not mistaken, those are Arabs. That's an Arab country. I try to look at things. I don't mean to hurt feelings. I want to separate the black Muslims and the original people from this, but again, from the historical perspective, if they are killing one another off, both of these folks do not have a healthy history with the darker skinned people of the world. So why should we give a damn if it's one devil killing another one?
Peace, God. Peace, family.
Peace, bro. How you doing?
Yeah.
You was recording.
Yeah, I am. Hit me up though. We can talk. All right. Syria has the potential to destabilize. I don't necessarily want to say the global security, but it has the potential to be the staging grounds of what could potentially be World War III, because of all of the players that are in this particular location at the same time, that being Russia, that being China having interest, that being Israel being over there, that being Saudi Arabia having, you know, their business dealings in Yemen, you feel me, and the provocations that they're going through with Iran for war. So Iran, you got Turkey, you got all of these people in this very precarious region on the planet. Their prophecy, right, according to scripture says, you know, when they start bombing in Damascus, this is the forebearing to, or the forewarning to what could be recognized as World War III or Armageddon, even worse, right? From a biblical perspective, if we're talking purely politics and a political perspective, yes, it also has the potential to be a very haphazard, you know, situation and region. And why should we be concerned with that? Because there's a large majority of our people that make up the military. Those are the people that they're going to be sending over to these places to get killed. So we should be concerned because those are our brothers and our sisters as well that are in uniform. You know, outside of that, you know, I don't really understand this monolithic idea that melanated people have, whereas they think that bombs are dropping over here and wars happening over, and we just going to be doing the nay-nay and it has no bearing on us whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? These criminal regimes are criminal regimes, and you know, it appears that, you know, this particular president, he wants to start deflecting, right? He's like, he must be in a conscious community because he's a master deflector. He knows how to deflect all kind of situations when he's in a hot seat. I'm gonna drop bombs over here, so they just start talking about this, and they no longer talk about that. But his back against the wall, and I've already said that when they come for him, that's when he's gonna start pushing buttons and say, look, I'm a wartime president. You know, you're gonna have to hold off your investigation because I can't go to jail. I'm actually, you know, I gotta run the country and I gotta run this war. So that's what we're seeing. He's putting himself in a position to engage in a long-term conflict where he can't be vetoed out of power because he's a wartime president, and he's going to suspend those powers of the Congress. What we also have to understand at the same time is that he also is running plays for the evangelicals and the conservatives in Israel, and they want to bring about these Armageddon atmospheres. They want to bring about these scenarios to bring about prophecies. That's how dangerous religion is. You know what I'm saying? That they're willing to kick this thing off to put certain things into play and certain things into motion so they can be like, let's see what's going to happen. That's no different from you niggas waiting for Black Panther to drop so you can see what happens. You know what I'm saying? They just putting in that work so they can forward their agenda and see what comes out of that. Whether they actually believe that, you know, because the Jews believe that that means that the Messiah is going to come back. The Christians believe that that believes that Jesus is going to come back. And the Muslims believe that that means Muhammad is going to come back, or the Mahdi for that matter. So with all of those things being said and all of these people being anxious and antsy, the bombs have already dropped. The scenario has already been set. The die has already been cast for all of these things to take place. You feel me? And the people that are bearing witness, that are just the citizens of these said countries, have no other options but to sit by and watch while these people play war games on a level we can't even conceive at this particular point. So, you know, that's why, for whatever reason, we should be concerned, or at least be mindful as to what's going on. We should be mindful. A large majority of our melanated people as well are Christians, let alone in the military. A lot of them are Christians. 85%, they said, of melanated people have some form of Christian background or relationship with Christianity in some respects. So quietly, they even, you know, if they prescribe to this particular doctrine, in their heart of hearts, they even believe it. And if they don't at this particular point, they'll be indoctrinated in due time to believe that these things are necessary to bring about the prophecies of which they are heavily invested in, because, you know, they are flag-waving, card-carrying members of this dogmatic religion. You dig what I'm saying? So our people are going to care. Our people don't care about who does what to them. They do shit to themselves, you know. Our people don't love themselves wholesale, wholeheartedly, or what have you. We still going through these identity self-love issues. So they could care two shits if this person is responsible for enslaving us, or this person keeps our neck on us, or what have you. You know, they really are adherents to the largest religion on the planet, which is Americanism. You know what I'm saying? So their whole operating system is white, male, Western mentality. You know what I'm saying? Or psychology. That's their OS. That's what they've been downloaded with. So that's how they're operating. So if Master says we're going to war and these are the bad guys, guess what? Give it 2 or 3 weeks and niggas gonna be making rap songs about it.